So this is Language and Culture Presentation 1 by Wilson Pierce. I am a recent graduate from the University of North Georgia with my bachelor's in nursing, and I just started this semester at Arizona State for a bachelor's in Spanish, and I'm super excited. So here we go. So, summary of my activities: I watched a movie on Netflix called Cambio de Ruta. I watched a Netflix series called Narcos, and I listened to plenty of music. I feel music is one of the easiest things to be able to immerse yourself completely into the language, so I do that quite often so that I have some sort of the basis for the language, and I try to emulate some of the pronunciation and words I learned. So, the first I'll talk about is Cambio de Ruta, which means change of course or change of route. This is a comedic romance that is based in La Riviera Maya in Mexico. It talks about Nicte, who is a tour guide. The company she works for gets bought out and taken over by a big name company. And the big name company comes in, tries to make lots of changes, and wants to expand and tear down part of the mangroves. And she actually quits and starts her own touring company. She ends up meeting one of the sons that owns Apollo, the company Apollo, which owns the tour guide company, and she takes him on a tour, and they fall in love, and she ends up helping him fall in love with the area. And so he stops his company from expanding and tearing down the mangroves. So some new vocabulary from the movie is ruta, which means route, apio, which means celery, and this is important in the movie. Her mom is a sex enthusiast and tells her that jugo de apio, which is celery juice, is an aphrodisiac, and so she needs to drink more of that, and that's good for a hangover as well. Then they talk about manglares, which are the mangroves, and how they protect the area from tropical storms and hurricanes, and it actually soaks up contamination and prevents erosion. And then the last word is protosario, which is protozoan. When they go out on a date and she is showing him around the island or around the area, they go out to the beach and they see a bioluminescent protozoan, and so that was really cool to see, and they talked about that. This is very similar to things in the American culture. 51st Dates is a comedic romance with Adam Sandler, so they're very similar. The next thing I did was watch Narcos, a Netflix series about drug lord Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar was infamous in Colombia, and he was very infamous for paying off politicians and cops and being able to continually get away with all of this and continue to sell his drugs and get them across the border into America. So some new vocabulary I learned from watching this was plata, which is payment, plomo, which is lead, and that was something that Pablo was very famous for, apparently, was giving his subordinates or the people he was trying to kill a choice, either plata or plomo, he would say, payment or lead. So pay him or he'd shoot you and kill you. The last word I learned was narcotraficantes, which is drug traffickers. This movie relates back to many cultures, I'm sure, not just American culture and Colombian culture, but it does include drug cartels, which we have in America, as well as illicit drugs like cocaine, which is the huge drug that Pablo smuggles into the United States, and the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency. The DEA is actually represented in this miniseries. A DEA agent is sent to Colombia to help the Colombian government handle and get rid of Pablo Escobar. So that was really cool to see. The last thing I did was listen to music. I absolutely love listening to music. It's one of my favorite things to do. I also think that I'm able to fully immerse myself into the language and to pick up on pronunciation as well as learn new words by listening to music. So some new vocabulary from listening to some songs is rompecabezas, which means puzzle, and pasito, which is small step. Those two vocab words are from the song Despacito, which is, I listened to the version by Justin Bieber featuring Luis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee. The last two vocabulary words, con ganas, which means with desire, and tal vez, which means maybe, are from the song Lo Mejor de Mi Vida Eres Tú by Ricky Martin. Something I learned from these two songs is dialect. Listening to Luis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee speak some of their words or some of their lyrics in the song, they cut off letters. So instead of nos vamos pecando, one of their lyrics ends up being no vamos pecando, which is really hard for me sometimes to understand, trying to pick out words that I know or trying to pick out what the lyrics are actually saying when they cut off different letters of the words. So it's very similar to dialects in America, like speaking, saying y'all in the South or you'ns in the North or you all. And then the lyrics are very, very similar to those of English songs. You know, there are only so many things you can talk about, but many of the ones that I listen to are talk about love and lust, and so I really enjoyed listening to the music, and I look forward to listening to your presentations, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.